Hi, welcome back to another Cooking with Quels video. Today's recipe will be Jamaican peanut porridge. I'll list the ingredients that we'll need for this recipe. First, we're going to start by washing and drying our green plantain, and then we're going to start peeling it out of the skin. I'm rubbing some cooking oil on my hands as it helps when I'm pulling the plantain out of the skin to not let it stick to my fingers. The plantain itself can be a bit difficult to peel, just like green bananas, but I find that using this technique for both usually helps with less of a mess. I'm going to use the knife to remove both ends, and then I'm going to cut a diagonal line along the plantain. I find that when I cut it along one of the ridges, it's easier for me to pull it out of the skin. So now I'm just using my fingers to slide it under the skin in order to remove the skin from the plantain. After I've finished removing the plantain from the skin, I'm gonna go ahead and start dicing it into some small chunks. I'm gonna be blending this in the blender for the porridge, so cutting it as small as possible really helps with that process. I usually just make a plus sign at the top and then start cutting it to get it into these small pieces, but the choice is yours on how you want to cut it in order to get it as small as possible. I tried doing different styles of cutting just so you can see the different options or some of the different options that I would use based on how quickly I'm going. After cutting up the plantain, I'm gonna go ahead and put some water on the stove to boil before I start blending it. I'm putting some cinnamon leaves in the water to boil with it. You can also use cinnamon sticks or cinnamon powder, but the cinnamon leaves is what I had at the moment and it gives the same flavor, so I'm gonna be using that for today's recipe. So I'm just setting up my blender along with the other ingredients that I need to blend for this section. I'll be adding about 2 cups of water along with half can of coconut milk to the blender. So now I'm just opening the can of coconut milk with this can opener before I add it to the blender. If you're making a larger batch than I'm making, you can use the entire can. Or if you're making a smaller batch, you can use maybe about half cup instead of half can of coconut milk. So now I'm gonna add these peanuts that I had left over to the blender after adding the coconut milk, and then I'm gonna allow that to blend for a couple minutes. The aim is to blend it as smooth as possible so that when you're tasting the peanut in the peanut porridge, the chunks aren't too thick. You want it to be as smooth as possible. And if you do like tasting the peanut when you're eating the peanut porridge, you want them to be some small pieces that you're tasting in your mouth as opposed to a big peanut chunk that you're feeling in your mouth. After I've gotten the peanut to the desired smoothness, I'm gonna go ahead and just blend in the plantains as well, and then add a cup of oats to the mixture and then continue blending it. So now I'm gonna check on my water. I had turned off the stove while blending the peanuts because I didn't want the water to basically boil out of the pot. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the cinnamon leaves from the pot before adding my mixture to it, because I don't want it in the final product. So I'm just using these tongs to remove them from the pot before I continue. Now I'm adding the mixture to the water. You notice that I'm stirring it in. This is to prevent any lumps in the porridge. So while I'm pouring it into the pot, I'm going to continue stirring it. The heat under the pot was now adjusted to medium heat, just to ensure that we don't have anything sticking to the bottom of the pot. My camera almost fell into the pot, so it missed the shot of me adding in the vanilla. But basically what I added was some vanilla flavoring, and now I'm gonna add in some condensed milk. I did not add any nutmeg to the pot because the condensed milk came in the flavor cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla. And now I'm just gonna finish adding the whole can to the pot and then stir that in some more. I won't be adding any sugar to this porridge, guys, because I added the entire tin of condensed milk. But if you like your porridge a bit sweeter, you can choose to add some brown sugar or some granulated sugar to it. But for my preference, I won't be adding any sugar to the mixture. The can of condensed milk is enough. I'm just gonna go ahead and add some salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to it, and stir it some more. There you have it, a pot of Jamaican peanut porridge. All in all, this was boiling for about 20 minutes. I stirred while boiling it just to make sure there weren't any lumps in it. It is very thick, and the whole process took about 35 to 40 minutes. From washing the peanut to adding the ingredients to the blender, it all took me about 35 to 40 minutes. I'll add the cooking instructions down below in the video description. Please let me know what you would like to see me cook next on my channel. I really enjoyed making this recipe for you guys. This has always been one of my favorite porridge, along with cornmeal porridge. After sharing this first bowl, I realized that it was a bit too thick for my liking. So I just went back over it and added some cow's milk and stirred that in, and then it was perfect. Try it out at home and let me know what you think. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and also follow me on social media. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another one.